There you go. You guys hear me now? Uh, cool. Go ahead and put your information, your name in the chat, and let me know who is here. We're gonna do some Q&A. We're gonna go ask a couple. Get some feedback from you guys. Definitely want to make sure that we're addressing, the questions that you guys have in the room. And so finally, think I worked this thing out so I can actually show you guys. Screen shares and things like that. So if you have your questions, if there's something that you're thinking about as far as marketing is concerned, if you're stuck in a deal, I know someone, one of our clients, she said that she was in a possible sub 2 deal. So I definitely want to be able to walk you through that. If you're out there, this is the time to do those things. This is the time to bring up all your questions. So pop in the questions in the chat. Let me know. Let me just do a test here. There we go. Do I put my question right here? Yes, you do. Throw your questions right in there, Ashley. I think I do know your question. You messaged me about it earlier, and so if you can get me the details in the house and that on that particular property. So just to kind of give you the background of what Ashley's deal is, and I'll go straight from the text message that was sent to me, so I don't miss any of the important details. It looks like she came across a property, possible subject to deal. What's going on, Mark? Possible subject to deal. The guy is in the military and about to be stationed elsewhere. So has an ARV after repair value of about $236,000. He owes $195,000. Okay, so it's worth $236 after repair value and owes $195,000. He said he did some repainting to the house, and other than that, claims to be in good condition. When you look at a regular 236 times 0.7, when you take out that 30%, it doesn't really pan out to be a wholesale deal. That would bring it down to a purchase price of $165, and he already owes $195. What's going on, Tiffany? So it says, can this still be a sub 2 deal or not? Right. So absolutely. So subject to deals. Number one, they are deals that are based Levi, what's up? So these are deals that are not based on the same formula that would be using for a regular wholesale deal. Okay. So this is creative financing. This is us being creative, right, in order to make the deal fit, right? It doesn't fit into a normal deal. So what we need to do is we need to work a couple of things. So first thing I want you guys to think about is it being at $236,000. And forgive me, I still haven't figured out how to write on my little board here. So I'm going to write out on a piece of paper and attempt that you guys will be able to see it. Okay. So first thing we understand is that this $236,000 is what the ARV is. All right. So $236,000. Oops, it's been too much. Let's try it here. I think it's too much. All right, $236,000 is what it's going to take to get it and sell it at that point, right? So that's the after repair value. So Ashley, if you can go ahead, what's going on, Ramona? Ashley, if you can go ahead and tell me, does it need any repairs in order for it to get it to that 236? If you could throw that in there, that'd be great. Let me know real quick. Claims property is in good condition. He did some painting. Got that. So if it does not need any repairs, and I don't know if you guys can show that. Oh, that's pretty dope. I didn't know I could do that. So Ashley says, man, this software is crazy. Says the the guy's in the military. House is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. ARV is 236. He owes $195,000. He pays $1,500 per month. All right. Also, she says claims property's in good condition. He did some painting on the exterior and new flooring in one of the bathrooms. He lived in the property for a year. All right. So yeah, let me try to use that whiteboard. That's a good point. Let me do that, because when we're talking numbers, it's very difficult unless you just got one of those minds that I don't have. You have one of those minds where you can just you can see the numbers in your face in your mind. Then you're cool. I'm not that cool. All right. So let's do, where's my eraser at? We'll try and find, oh, here. All right, cool. We're going to figure this thing out. This thing's going to be dope once I get this process down, because I feel like I can reach out and touch a little more people. So here we go. So putting it back up on the screen. Thanks for that tip, Sean. I wasn't thinking like that. So 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Let me see, make sure you can see it. 2.5 bath. And ARV equals, I'm just gonna take it to 236K. Okay. I know she put a little bit extra on there. That's okay. All right. And so owes $195,000. Okay. So right now, what we're looking at right now is a difference of about $40,000, right? $41,000, right? So we're owing a difference of about $41,000, but at the same time, there's a mortgage, an active mortgage on this thing, okay? And this mortgage for $1,500 per month. Okay, these are important numbers to know, okay? All right. The other thing that's important to know is what is it going to take to get this thing to be an after repair value, right? Remember, this is what it's worth after we repair this thing, okay? So if it's in its current condition and worth this and we don't need any repairs, then that's to our benefit, right? But if we have to spend another $10,000, $15,000 to get it to this point, then that might not be, that all this is for naught. But based off of what's on here on the screen, she says it's in pretty good condition. There's some painting exterior and new flooring in one of the bathrooms he lived in for the property for about a year. So I'm going to, because we don't know it and because Ashley hasn't actually put her eyes on it yet, she can't tell us definitively. She actually can't tell us definitively if it was something where it was completely renovated already and it's worth this right now, or do we need to do some repairs to it? So we're going to act like we don't need to do repairs on it for the sake of this example. Okay. Now, what she was doing a regular times 0.7, which is basically subtracting 30%. And I think she said she got like 165-ish, something around that, right? And so what that would be if we wanted to wholesale this thing, right? If we wanted to wholesale it, this is the number it would need to be at for all in for an investor to purchase it, meaning that we would need them to be able to renovate it, put our wholesale fee on top of it, and pay the seller. All of that would have to total 165 in order for this to be a good wholesale deal. Okay. Meaning that let's say Ashley wants to make 10, which means we would have had to get it for $10,000 less than this. And let's say needed $20,000 worth of repairs. So that means we would need to get it under contract for 135. then we can add our $10,000 on top of it to make it 145. And then the 20,000 worth of repair would be 165. Hope you guys follow me. I know some of you guys are brand new, and some of you guys are this is, you know, you've seen this before. Okay. This is a subject to, Levi. So this doesn't work as a wholesale, right? This doesn't work as a wholesale. We can't use this math for a wholesale deal. All right. But what we can do is we can subject to this if this number is key, right? Because what we're looking at is a way that we can get into this property and control the property. And if you don't know what subject to is, a subject to is where basically someone deeds over the property. So this person is going to give me the title, give me the deed to this property. I now own the property. The mortgage, which is separate from the title, okay, the mortgage is still with the owner. So if Jim owns the house and he has Jim has a mortgage with Chase Bank, okay, he's going to deed the property over to me, meaning that now I own the property, right? And then from there, what's going to happen is that the mortgage is going to stay with Jim, but I own it. So you say, well, how does that work? It's not like a car. So like with a car, a lot of people will go ahead. The financing on a car is directly tied to the title, and the people who finance the car, the bank that finances the car, when you get that car and you drive it off the lot, you don't get the title. The title goes to the bank. All right. Housing is a little bit different, where you can separate the two. Right. You can separate the two, and I can give you the deed of my house, and you can walk in there and you can live in it and you can do whatever you want with it. But there's still going to be a lien on it, and that lien is attached to me and the house. Okay. So the reason why that's so important is because I get to take control of a piece of property. In a specific case like this, especially if someone's in dire straits, or they're in the military like this gentleman is, and he needs to move quickly. He doesn't want to keep on. He can't. He's about to move out. He might be going overseas. He doesn't want to keep paying a mortgage of $1,500, and he doesn't want to rent it out, maybe possibly, right? So he's saying, listen, I want this thing off of my hands. I don't want to have to deal with it. If you pay the mortgage, I'm good. I'll give you my rights to the property as long as you take care of this mortgage. Okay. So this is subject to, and it's not the number 2, it's subject to TO, pre-existing financing. Okay. So what we need to find out is, can we make this thing work? So if all he wants is no money, right, and he just wants to walk away, right, he just wants to walk away from the property and not have to pay this $1,500 a month, okay, then there's some money to be made in this, okay? 2 things we need to find out. What is our normal rental rate for this area? We know this is the mortgage, okay? So you can go to rentometer.com, go to rentometer.com, and you can type in the address, okay, Ashley? Type in the address and then find out whether or not, oops, my camera acting crazy. Find out, there we go, it's getting there. Find out from rentometer.com what the rent is for that specific area. Okay. If you can do that, and that rent comes out to be something higher than this 1,500, you're going to have something where you can have a possible win. So let's just say the rent for that area comes out to, so this is the mortgage. Okay. And let's say the rent is 1,900, or let's say 1,800. Okay. So if we find out that rent in that area for the same style homes, 3-bedroom, 2.5 homes, are renting for 1,800 across the board, that's just customary for it. Okay. He said the rents for that area was 1,400 per month. All right. So let's deal with real numbers. 1,400 per month. So if the rents are for that, and I would double check it, because a lot of times it's not, and this is a good tip for anybody, it's not always what the landlord or the owner is renting for. Go to rentometer.com, go to Zillow, go to talk with a real estate agent, see what the normal rents are for that particular neighborhood. Because I've bought plenty of houses where the landlord hasn't raised the rents in 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And so they're charging below market rent. Okay. So double check, because typically, unless you get a bad loan, typically your mortgage is going to be less than what it would cost to rent. Okay. Typically what you would pay in rent is going to be greater than if you were to buy that home and get a traditional mortgage, unless your credit is really jacked up and you got a crazy interest rate. And you know, I mean, the house was super expensive for that neighborhood, right? But typically, apples to apples, comparing a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home to a 3-bedroom, 2.5 home that you can rent, typically your mortgage is going to be cheaper than your rent. But let's say this, because this is what he's saying. I'm just, Tiffany, if you can go, I mean, I'm sorry, not Tiffany, Ashley, if you can go to, okay, so Rent-A-Meter is saying, oh, you just did it, $1,493 for an average and $1,607 for a 75th percentile. Yeah. So let's just do this. Since it's $1,493, you're saying $1,493 for average and $1,607 for the 75th percentile. Let's just call it even at $1,500. So I'm going to show you how this can work either way. Okay. So this is not ideal. Okay. Where there's no money to be made here, because this limits the type of buyer that you're going to, that's going to be interested in this. But is there a way that you could still make money off this? Absolutely. Okay. So here's how you can do it. We can go ahead and get this thing set up. We go ahead and get your subject to on it. At that moment, you are going to be responsible for that mortgage at $1,500. So what I want you to do before that, is I want you to start to market this property. And you're going to market the property before you even, everything goes through, because you need to start getting applicants in. I want you to market on Facebook Marketplace. I want you to put some bandit signs out. I want you to go on Craigslist. I want you to market as all the places you possibly can a rent to own property, right? And you can give them the description of the property, but do not give them the address of the property. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. You can give them the description of the property, but do not give them the address of the property. Okay, so you could tell them, hey, this is a 2-story, three bedroom, 2.5 bath, you know, all brick home, newly renovated, new kitchen, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You could take some photos. You should take photos. You can even have a video walkthrough, as long as you don't show the street. Don't give away too much of where it's at. Okay. And you can tell them, hey, this property is worth $236,000 as it stands. And we don't care about your credit. We don't care about this. We don't care about that. Go ahead and send in your application. We do this based off of an income-based opportunity, whether or not you can pay for the mortgage. Okay. Now, what you're going to do at that point is, once you find, you're going to get a whole bunch of people that are coming in. Okay. Now, this person, remember, and I don't know, Ashley, you could probably let me know, how much does he want, or does he just want to walk away from the property? Okay. So if he wants to walk away from the property and the seller is going to get no money, all right, he just wants to be done with it. He doesn't want to deal with anything with it. The cost that you're going to incur is the closing cost. All right. Because there's going to be a closing attorney here in the state of Georgia. We're attorney state. So, and I know Ashley's in Georgia. So in Georgia, you're going to have to actually get an attorney to actually close that on that property for you, showing that he's signing over that deed to you. But remember, you already have started marketing. You already started marketing the property, and you have a list of people who are interested and qualified. You've seen bank statements, because that's one of the things you're going to ask them for. You're going to ask them for their bank statements. You are going to ask them for their for a credit profile, but they're largely going to base your decision off of their bank statements, their job, how long they've been working at their job, what is their monthly pay, what are their expenses. So you're going to look at it to make sure they can afford a 15, or really maybe a 1550 or a 1575 a month mortgage, or really they'll be renting from you, but you're going to take that and put it onto the mortgage. But what's going to happen is that you're going to charge them a percentage up front. This is called the option fee. So rent to own, or a lease with an option to buy. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to charge them an option fee Option fee on this, it's $236,000. You're probably going to charge an option fee. I don't know why this camera keeps doing that, but you're going to charge them an option fee of anywhere between, I mean, if they can, really, I like to try to do 10%, but 10% might be a little bit high. So if they can get in anywhere around between $12,000 to $15,000 for an option fee, then they can get into this home and literally, as long as they're paying it, they can own it. Now that is a lease with an option to buy. The reason why people do a lease with an option to buy is because they typically don't have credit or they don't have the paperwork good enough right now where they can get a traditional loan. So you'll do a lease with an option to buy, okay? And that lease with an option to buy is going to have an option price tag on it, okay? So the option price, let's just say in this particular case, is $15K. Okay, so that's what they're going to bring to the table up front just for the ability to do this. And the stipulation is that this is going to be a 24 or 36 month, nothing more than 36 months. Okay, some people do 12 months, but just to be honest with you, that's probably not enough time. Okay, because the reason why they're coming to you for a lease with an option to buy is because they probably don't have the credit in place in order to go through traditional financing. People can talk about it all they want, but I'm telling you, the average person, it's going to take them a little bit more than a year to fix their credit. Can they do it quicker? 100%. Okay, but that's if they're really on it and they're dedicated to it, because you can't start this this loan process at the end of the year, right? So let's just say someone's really on it. They're going to spend the first, and their credit is, sub 6, right, in the 5s. It's going to take them a couple of months just to get it above 6, right? And really, they probably want to be closer, to that 660, 670 mark before they start applying for loans. So it's going to take them probably that entire year just to get to that point. So you give them, I would say 24. If you want to go as far as 36, nothing more than 36 without renegotiating, because again, rents change, right? And then you're going to go ahead and give them that 24 to 36 lease. And then at the end of that lease, okay, at the end of that lease, they are going to have to figure out how to purchase that. So the purpose of this is for them to get into the home that they love, okay? Work on their credit. In 2 years' time, their credit should be good enough where they can actually get a traditional loan so they can go ahead and buy this thing straight out, okay? This mortgage is still going to be on it, right? They only paying on it for 2 years. I don't know how mature the mortgage is, how much principal is going to, but what's going to happen here is that this is going to go down, right? Because they're paying the mortgage every single month, or somebody's paying it. It might be you if they miss a month, right? Keep in mind that that's one of the things that when a sub 2 deal, you're responsible for that, right? So this thing goes down, let's say it goes down another five grand, right? Over the course of 2 years, okay? Let's say it's a pretty new loan, right? So now at 190, it's worth 236. This $15,000 option price, what that means is that $15,000 is coming off this price, right? So this is why it's so important to know these numbers, because we have to determine, do we have enough space there? We've already determined that we do, because it's a $40,000 spread, right? So $15,000 is going to come off of this 236. So that means they're going to be at 216. They're going to get a mortgage for $216,000. You're giving them 2 years to clean up their act. You're giving them 2 years of making good payments here so they can show the bank that, hey, we've been able to make these payments. And now they can go ahead and get qualified for a regular loan. And now you're getting $216,000. Plus you got this 15 over here on the front end. Okay. So I passed some of these because I couldn't wholesale it. Yep. Yeah, Mark, it's once you learn this, man, it opens up the doors to a lot of different ones. So the main things that we need to talk about when we're talking about subject twos and whether or not we can do them, we got to have these numbers, right? We need to know the description of the type of the property. We need to go ahead and know what the after repair value is. We need to know what the current value is. Like I said, this particular example, I'm just going off of, it doesn't need any repairs because I know Ashley hasn't actually seen She just wants his hands off. Okay. So I know Ashley hasn't actually seen the property, so we don't know if it's as is condition. So I remember, Ashley, when you go see this property, if it's tore up, this is going to change a lot of this. All right. But just based off of the information that we have now, we don't need anything. It's worth 236. He owes 195. He doesn't want anything from the property. His monthly mortgage is 1,500. The rent in the area is going for roughly around 1,500, and we can go ahead and get this thing off for an option, at least with an option to buy to somebody for 15K. They're going to be ecstatic about it because they want to get into a home. They want to feel like a homeowner, and this is a way that they can get into that with the way of working towards cleaning up their credit so they can one day own the home. The good thing about it is that typically people that do this, typically they take care of the property better than a renter because they plan on owning the property, right? So let me go to the questions. So Levi said, so the 15K is going straight to the mortgage and the 1,500 payment is going to the owner. No, the 15K, this goes to Ashley's pocket, okay? Remember, the 15K, we're basing off of he's in good standings. We don't need to catch up on the mortgage. He's not behind on the mortgage. He just wants out of the property. He's in the military and he's leaving. That's the scenario, right? He's in the military. He's getting restationed somewhere and he doesn't want to deal with anything, okay? So this $15,000 is essentially what she's going to put in her pocket, okay? And what she's going to do, because it's worth 236 in 2 years, it should appreciate, hopefully, right? So it should be worth a little bit more, but they're gonna lock in on that price of 236. Or if she really wanted to be bullish, she could go ahead and say, hey, we'll sell it to you at the fair market value of that time. But right now, housing is high right now, right? There was with the pandemic, a lot of people weren't selling. So supply was low. What happens when supply goes low? Demand goes higher. And since demand is higher, more people are asking to try to buy the same exact property. Prices of property are going up. So right now, I would, because of everything that's happening with the pandemic and everything like this, I probably would lock in at that 236. I would lock them in at 236 because we don't know what's going to happen with this thing. And when things take a dive, if you think about 2008, if some of you guys were doing real estate back in 2008, things didn't start to come back up until 2012-ish, right? So what I want you to do is probably lock in on this 236, right? That $15,000 goes into your pocket, and there's already more than $15,000 between the 236 and the 195. So it's easy for you to just say, hey, you paid me 15K up front. We're just going to take that off the top of the price. So when you get your mortgage, when that person goes and applies for a mortgage, they're only applying for a mortgage for 216, okay, or whatever that is, the $15,000 less than that, 221, right? 220, whatever it is. So 221. So they're going to go for $15,000 less, and that's what they're going to get their mortgage on, which is good for them because hopefully it's still worth 236 or more, which means they're going into it with equity. Okay. Cool. It's a good question. Let me see here. So she said, so I wouldn't have to pay the $1,500 myself unless the tenants I put into the home fail to pay, or would I have to pay the $1,500 just to get it into myself? So this is why I gave you the steps up front. So you want to, if this is something that's going to work out, as soon as that guy signs the contract, what you want to do is you want to start looking for buyers like this. That's why I said, put it on Facebook Marketplace. Hey, lease with option to buy or rent to own home. Good credit, not required. Based off of income based, can you handle a rent payment or a mortgage payment of $1,600 a month, right? If you can do that, you're good to go. Okay, you tell them $1,600, and then you say people can do it. You tell them $1,500 or $1,550, $1,575. You got it. Okay, so when you do that, you're gonna put that on Facebook Marketplace. You're gonna put it in your Facebook feed. You're gonna put it on Craigslist. You're going to go put up bandit signs in the neighborhood with saying that lease with option to buy, credit, bad credit, okay, call this number. And you're going to get a flood of people that are blowing you up. I promise you are, okay? You get a flood of people blowing you up. and they're going to be calling, asking what's going on. Hey, I want to know. I want more information about this property. All right. Especially when you put on, if it looks good and you put some good pictures up there. Okay. Out of 50 people that contact you, it's probably going to be 5 of them that you're going to dwindle it down to. Okay. Out of those 5, you're going to look at who has the best income, who has the best track record with their job, right? And then you're going to categorize them, and then you're going to get them. And this is all while you haven't even signed on a dotted line with this house yet, right? I want to make sure you understand that you haven't even gotten the property yet. This is what I want. This is the preemptive strike. This is why I want you to have these people in the waiting for you, so you have options. Okay, so you do that then. And then at that point, what's going to happen is that you're going to end up having a waiting list of people. Once you close on it, right? You can either close on it with them when you know it's getting ready to go to closing. You can say, all right, cool. $15,000. This is what it's cost. This is the option price. By then, you're going to know whether or not they have that, because, like I said, it went from 50 all the way down to 5, and you've dwindled it down, and you're talking with those 5, and they need to show bank records. They need to show proof of funds that they have 15,000 plus saved in the bank. I probably would say, listen, I need you to have at least 18 to 19.5 in the bank, almost 20K in the bank, right? Because they're going to pay 15 for me, and then they're going to have at least 2 to 3 months of rent saved up, okay, with a quality job. There are a lot of people out there that fall into this category. Okay. So when you find that person, you can say, all right, cool. Home is yours. Let's just want to paint this picture. You're closing on Friday, right? You closing on Friday. You know they're closing on Friday. You talk to them on Monday and say, hey, money, this 15K is due. This house is yours. It's going to take about 30 days for us to do everything. $15,000. And we'll have you moved in 30 days. Might even be less. Okay. They're excited. They've done the walkthrough of the property. They're ready to go. They go ahead and they sign the contract with you, and they send over the 15K. Okay. Now you have 15K to go take to the closing table to pay your closing costs. Your closing cost is probably going to be somewhere around $2,500. Okay. So you're going to take $2,500 out of that 15K. You walk away with $12,500. You close on the property with their money. You take $12,500, put it in your pocket. They move in the next 30 days. Okay. And then they're paying the mortgage, right? So, but to answer your question, if they fail to pay the mortgage, then yes, you're responsible for paying that mortgage. Because, and this is the thing that a lot of people, when they do sub-2s, unfortunately, they don't take this seriously. This promise, Ashley, your promise is to that gentleman that's in the military, that you are going to pay the mortgage no matter what, okay? So if someone goes in there and they promise you the world, and then they don't pay the mortgage, guess who still ultimately is responsible for it? You are, as a ethical and prudent investor. You have the responsibility. You bear that burden of making sure that mortgage gets paid, because if it doesn't, it's going to affect his credit. Then he's going to raise some questions, and then there's going to be some issues. Yep, exactly, Mark. Exactly right. You should hold on to some of that 12.5 and reserve. Exactly. I mean, you should never be taking all your money that you make from your deals and just spending it. You should definitely be saving. I'd say, especially if you got a job, save 70% of that, right? Take 30% of it and do something else with it. Save 70% of it, or use some of it to put back into your marketing. Okay, cool. All right, perfect, man. I'm liking this setup. Now I'm getting a little used to this thing. I'm getting in a little groove here. I want to get some more questions, man. Hopefully, Ashley, number one, I just want to make sure did that answer your questions. If you got anything else, let me know. Let me know if you got anything. It takes about a couple of seconds. It takes about 10, 15 seconds for it to come in. What contract would I use for him? Which contract for the tenants? So if you go into our course's back office, there is a subject to purchase and sales agreement. Okay. Subject to purchase and sales agreement. Take that, go ahead and look it over. And when we have our private calls on Sunday, if you just have any questions, let me know then. Okay. So, but it's right there in the background, back office. So we subject to in this scenario because there's not enough room for wholesale. Yes, Levi, exactly. Because again, over here, I don't know if you saw it. When she did her math, they would need to be all in for 165. She would need to be all in for 165. And we just mathematically, we can't do that because there's already a mortgage of 195. Okay. So when will we not be able to subject to? When will we not be able to subject to? So if we're in an area where rents are super low and this is a high price, right? You still can subject to, but you're going to want to have some equity to play with so you can charge a price like this. Okay. If it's just too close, you don't want to subject to. All right. The other thing, you know what? Another option for this, you got this? Because I'm about to erase this real quick. So I want to show you another option. I'm looking at the math. It might work out. I got to take a look. I'm going to do a little calculation here. Because here's another option for you, okay? This is going to require you to pay a little bit, okay? But one thing that's less moving parts, put it on the open market and just sell it with a real estate agent at what it's worth, of 236. Okay, so what we got to do is we have to understand some math here. So we understand that it costs money to work with a real estate agent, right? So typically, it's not a law, but typically it's 6%. Okay, so we're going to subtract 6%. Okay. Also, on average, closing costs total are about 3%. Okay. But if you're selling this thing, I always go off of this off of a 1.5% because I'll budget to negotiate me paying half of the closing costs. So let's add 1.5% or subtract another 1.5%. So let's look what that looks like. So 236, so that's what we sell it for, minus 6, minus 1.5, that's a total of 7.5%, minus 7.5%. This all totals 7.5%. I just added these two numbers together. Totals $17,700, which means once we subtract that out, there's a profit of $218,300. Okay. Now, we said that there's a mortgage on it, right? So take that $218,300 and you subtract the mortgage, which was $195. So we subtract this mortgage of $195, and you have a profit of $23,300. Okay. So there you go. There's another way that you could do this. All right. Thanks, Christy. So here's another way that you can do this exact same thing, right? So the thing with this is that what's going to happen here, the difference between this and that is that this one, you're taking control of it and then you're selling it all within 1 year, right? So what does that mean? Somebody put in the chat, when you buy real estate and you turn around and flip it and sell it, what do you have to pay? What do you got to pay? Somebody put it in the chat. While we're working on that, when the person's leasing the property to have to put down another down payment when they go to purchase the property on their own. Stacy, it could be yes or no, depending on, yep, there you go. Capital gains taxes, property taxes, right? Or capital gains taxes specifically. So you're not going to, I mean, you're going to get a check for $23,300, but you're going to be responsible for paying the taxes on that $2,300. So you might break out right around that $15,000 like we were talking about when it's all said and done. Okay. So I think depending on your tax bracket, but let's say it's 30%. You had like 16,310. It's like it varies, but I think on mine it was over 30%. It was like 32 and 33%, something like that. All right, so because there's short-term capital gains taxes, anything less that you buy and sell and hold for less than a year. So where was it at? I saw somebody when the person leasing the property, they have to put down another down payment when they go to purchase. So, that's the question I just read. All right, cool. So, basically, they put down $15,000 on an option to purchase, right? But what did they actually do? They actually paid me that $15,000, right? Why do you need to put down on a property? The banks want to know. It's a good question because it's more of a question for you to understand what's happened from a banking standpoint or from a lending standpoint, right? What they want to know is if they have to foreclose on this thing, right? They have to foreclose on it, can they get their money, right? Or are they going to be losing on this thing? Okay. So that's why a lot of banks charge PMI, private mortgage insurance, right? Because they make you pay extra so that they can recoup just in case there's any issues. All right. So if let's see what 20% is. It's going to be definitely more than that. 236, 47.2. Yeah. So you're still probably going to have to put something on it. But so the main thing that we need to make sure, and just to let you know what I'm thinking about is that if we could get this thing where it's 20%, where there's 20% equity, most banks will allow you to go ahead and do that. They'll say, well, you've been living in this property already for a year, and there's already equity in it. You're not buying this thing at full market value. And if we have to foreclose on it, we already got $47,000+ of equity that we can extract from that property. Okay. And so, but if you work with like a government program or something like that, where they require you to put down, like say FHA, where they require you to put 3.5% down, then yes, you're gonna have to put 3.5% down to close on that property. But that's all stipulated in that lease agreement. Okay. That lease agreement is telling them, listen, this is an option price. It's going to come off of the sale price. But think about it like this. They're not closing on the property. I really want to make sure that you guys understand this, is that these individuals, they're not buying the property. It is a lease with an option to buy. A lease. It is not a purchase. You cannot put into the agreement that they are purchasing the property. Okay. You have to be very careful with the words that you put into that contract. All right. You can't tell them that they are paying the mortgage. They're not. They're paying you rent and then you pay the mortgage. I don't care if it's the exact same amount. If their mortgage is $1,503.02, right? And that's the mortgage, right? And their rent is $1,503.02. You need to make sure that you tell them that they are paying the rent, not the mortgage. Okay. You can get yourself in trouble for that, right? So they can start claiming some ownership issues, and you can have some issues with that. So you need to make sure that in your stipulations that you're telling them that they are paying rent, okay? Even though you're taking that money and paying the mortgage, they are paying you rent, okay? So so with that in mind, they're going to have to qualify for that mortgage however that bank requires, If the bank sees that there's enough equity in there and they don't require a down payment and they can get in there with zero money, cool. If their credit is good enough for that point, great. If the bank is going to require them 3.5% down, then they're going to have to put 3.5% down of that. The only difference is that they're going to be getting 3.5% down of $221,000 versus $236,000. Okay. Because that $15,000, also be aware if what happens with that $15,000 if they don't exercise the option. Do you have to give that money back? No, you don't. You don't have to give that money back. That money belongs to you. They need to know that. They need to know that once they give that $15,000 over, if they change their mind tomorrow, their $15,000 is gone. Okay. You got it. Okay, good, Stacy. You got it. Good. Cool. Got any other questions? Either pertaining to this is what we're talking about subject to, or if we're talking about anything else. I like this setup, man. This thing looks nice. I like it, besides the camera doing that. All right, man. If we don't have any more questions, I guess I got to sit like this. If we don't have any more questions, it's weird because the computer screen is here and the camera's here. So I'm trying to still get used to that. So just bear with me. But if we don't have any more questions, we're about to finish this joint. I just wanted to hop on here. We're going to be doing this, for you guys that don't know, we're going to be doing this every single Wednesday on YouTube and Facebook Live at 7 p.m. every single Wednesday, YouTube and Facebook Live. This is basically free information. What I'm going to eventually do once we get all the bugs worked out, we're going to work this thing systematically and just teach how to find leads. If you can find leads and you can put offers in, you will win. It's just how many leads and how many offers, how many leads do you need and how many offers are you putting in so that you can move this thing down the pipeline in order to get to a contract and then get sold. Okay. So good. I'm glad you understand it. And no problem, Mark. Thank you. So what I want you guys to do, because that's the biggest thing. I want you to picture this. If you imagine whether or not you're a real estate agent or you're a wholesaler or you're an investor, right? You're a fix and flip, you're buy and hold. Imagine what you would do right now if there was 100 people that want, now I'm not saying a regular, just 100 prospects, but 100 leads, 100 people that want to sell their property. Okay. Now they said they want to sell their property. Now, where are they at in that process? Do they want to sell for retail? Do they want to sell right now? Do they want to sell for wholesale? We still have to weed through that. But if every one of those 100 people got a wholesale offer, whether or not, and I'm going to speak more to wholesalers, real estate investors, fix and flip guys and girls, and buy and hold people, right? If every one of those people got an offer that fit your buying criteria, okay, somebody in there, actually probably multiple people in there, are going to want to move down that pipeline towards signing a contract. A friend of mine, Brandon Barnes, talks about, he says, if we talk to them, if we got them in the service and when we get on the line with them, they get an offer. All right. They get an offer. So everybody and all 100 people should get an offer. So your question should be, how do I get more leads? How do I get more people who want to sell their property, whether it's retail or not? If you're a real estate agent, if you had 100 people saying that they want to sell their property, and all you had to do was figure out how do you get on the phone with them so you can set an appointment, so you can sell them on how you're the best agent for the job, right? How would that help you, right? How many contracts could you get every single month if you could talk to 100 people or be in communication with 100 people who've already said they want to sell their property? They've already said it, right? Some of them are going to want to sell for wholesale. Most of them are going to want to sell for retail. How would that affect your business, right? So really the name of the game is finding leads and making offers. Finding leads and making offers. So if that's the name of the game, what tools can we put in place to get that? Contracts, how to negotiate, how to take the photos, doing subject to deals, doing wholesale deals, doing seller buyback finance, doing seller carry notes, like all those other topics, all those other tactics are all cool and stuff. But if you don't have anybody to talk to, you can't deploy any of those tactics. None of those things are useful if you have no one to talk to and no deals to make out with these things. So what I really want you guys to start to focus on is getting leads. How do we get leads? And when I get the leads, is everybody getting an offer, right? We were talking about the subject to deal. Why? Because Ashley is getting leads and she's talking on the phone with people. And so a lot of us are waiting with, we got to understand all this thing. We got to completely understand how to do a subject to, okay? Or I got to completely understand how to evaluate a property for a repair cost. Or I got to completely understand on how to do the contracts. And then I'm going to go ahead and find some leads. No, I promise you, if you have a hot deal in your hand, you are then going to be extra motivated to figure out how to get this thing closed. Okay. And because that you're in the hot seat, it's going to push you harder than you would normally push if you thought you had all the time in the world. It's just human nature, right? Because now there's real money on the line. You're looking at I think we brought up here two different ways, $23,000 to $15,000 check in your pocket. So you're going to push to figure this thing out. All right. But if you don't have those things, you're just going to take it easy. You're going to be like, I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll learn that when I have a little bit of time. Oh, today's Saturday. The kids are this. Okay, now I got a little bit of time. I got 45 minutes to an hour and I'll check it out. But if that thing was like, we need to get this contract signed in the next week, you'd be an expert in that much time because you don't need to know. It's not that hard. It's not something that's rocket science. All right. So I really want you guys to focus on that. I saw somebody said, how would you extract that equity out of the home in that specific event of an eventual foreclosure? Well, if it's foreclosed on, Raphael, if it's foreclosed on, you've lost it. So terminology, if it's foreclosed, foreclosure, or pre-foreclosure, we got something we can still work on. Okay. And I think, Raphael, I need to get a little more understanding on, are we talking about I've taken it over subject to, right? And I haven't paid the $1,500 mortgage. And so that's the reason why it's in foreclosure. Okay. If that's what you're talking about, because if I've taken it over subject to, I can put it on the market for sale. Okay. So that's how I would take advantage of the equity, right? I would sell it because remember the ARV or the I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah. The repair value here is $236,000. So I'm going to put it on the market for $236,000, try to get a quick sale off of the thing and then get that thing done. Right. So and you're going to know that if it's me who owns the property, I know what's happening with my own personal finances. I know I can't keep up with the property. I know I can't afford to pay it. I know I missed 1 month's payment. Boom. I need to be thinking about, okay, how do I either catch up on that or should I be thinking about putting this thing on the market? Okay. And you can always put it on the market and take it back off the market. Real estate agents hate it, but hey, I'm talking to you right now, right? Look, here's another person just got some more leads. So this is what happens. This is where you want your leads coming in at. Let me make sure I'm not putting their phone number up, but that's where you want leads just coming to your phone, right? Or you can't see it anyway. It's blurred out. You just want leads coming in your phone. That's what you want. You want people saying, hey, how do I want to sell my property, right? Those are the people that you want to talk to. So hopefully I answer your question, Raphael. If the owner, if I haven't taken it over subject to yet, and the owner, let me just put his question up there. And the owner is going through foreclosure, that adds a little bit of complexity to it because we need to know how far back is it in foreclosure. How much is it going to cost for us to catch it up, right? What the penalties are, the fees, and are we at where are we at? Like right now, we're in a time where just nationwide they're not allowing foreclosures to go through, right? As I heard a statistic, it's well over 1 million homes are in foreclosure right now, or that if the pandemic wasn't going on, they would have been foreclosed on. but it's backlogged for over 1 million plus homes. Crazy. So when they lift this thing, there's going to be a ton of REO properties out there. There's going to be a ton of pre-foreclosures coming out, and people are going to be, I mean, it's going to be, if you have cash, if you're cash heavy, you're going to be able to pick up homes for very cheap. Right. So, so if that homeowner is in it, in order for us to take advantage of that equity, what we would have to do is we'd have to make sure that the past due amount does not exceed, I've already erased it, but the difference between it was the mortgage was 195 and this. We need to make sure that those that payoff and that extra money does not exceed that, because most of the time people will say, hey, my mortgage is 195, right? But then they might forget that, okay, that they looked at that as if they were paying the mortgage on time. A guy did that with us a couple weeks ago. Okay. He told us that his mortgage was 179. He said, oh, my payoff is 179. We get the paperwork back from the bank. It was 195. Okay. Big difference. So, and that difference was all back mortgage fees. It was back mortgage. It was, they were charging a crazy amount of fees for servicing it and all this other stuff. All right. Let me see. Let me hide that. So hopefully I answered that question. One last question. Let me see. Let me just put you up here. One last question. You said the tenants would get a mortgage statement for 216 after they give up the 15K, but only a 195 is owed. Where will a statement of 216 come from if that's not what really? Oh, no. All right. So here's how this works. So 15,000, all right, comes off the top, right? So this is, let me just make sure my math is right. So 236 minus 15K. Yeah, 221. All right. So this is what we're saying. This is just the number that this house is, we're saying this house is worth. Okay. It's worth 236. We're saying, hey, there's a $15,000 option price, which means this $15,000 that goes to Ashley. Okay. She's happy. She's got, 15K, right? So that's Ashley. This 15,000 goes to her. Remember, you could sell this property for 236, but what you're doing is you're giving them the option to buy this thing. And because of this number right here, that's just the number that the property is appraised for, right? That's how much it's worth. Okay. So when we subtract this $15,000, we're saying, listen, we're going to sign a contract because, but on your mind, you're thinking, well, I know the times. I don't want to do it at market rate because maybe 2 years from now, the market plummets, 20%, and this thing is worth, 188. So what we're going to say is we're going to lock in a price of now of you're going to pay me 15,000, and what you're going to do in 2 years, you're going to rent it for the next 2 years with a balloon payment of 221,000. Now they're not going to see a statement for 221,000 because right now the mortgage statement, they have nothing to do with the mortgage. Nothing. Okay. You're paying the mortgage. They're paying rent. Okay. They have nothing to do with the mortgage. You're paying the mortgage. They're paying rent. So the person who's going to see the mortgage statement is you. When it's time for them at that 2-year time frame or right before it, when they're looking at financing, they're going to say, okay, cool. How much is the house for? Now, think about this. Now they're entering a regular person buying cycle. They're a regular Joe Blow. They didn't do anything special. Now they're just buying the property that they just happen to be renting for the last 2 years. So when you buy a property, You don't ask the homeowner for a mortgage statement. You just say, what's the price of the property, right? The property is worth, and now I'm selling the property to you who've been renting, who've paid me $15K. I'm selling the property to you for $221,000. The bank sends someone out there, right? They appraise the property. They say, man, this property is worth $236,000. Yeah, of course we'll write a mortgage on this thing for $221,000. Okay. So hopefully that helps out. I see that you said that it makes sense now. So hopefully for anybody else that helped them out as well. Cool. Can you Airbnb is subject to property I acquired? Yes, you can Airbnb it. And it's essentially the same thing, right? You're gonna go through the same process, because you gotta understand when you subject to a property, when you get that property, you own it like it's yours. Like the mortgage is still in the other person's name, and yes, that mortgage is liened up. It's attached to that property, to that address, to that parcel number. That mortgage, there's a mortgage there, so you can't just like not pay the mortgage, or else the bank will take the property, right? But if the bank takes the property, the thing about that is that normally the average person, when the bank takes the property, it's going to affect their credit, right? So it would affect my credit if it was my home. But if I'm the investor and Joe Blow, let's say John Doe is the homeowner who's been living in that home for 5 years, and now he wants me as an investor to take it over for a subject to, he's going to deed me the property. The deed makes me the owner, not the mortgage. The deed, that piece of paper that you file with the county, that makes me the owner, not the mortgage. So the mortgage stays with him. So it means if I'm the owner and our responsibility is to pay the mortgage every single month on behalf of him, and I stop doing that, then his credit will get jacked up, not mine. Okay. They will still come take the property. So I won't have the property. Okay. But my credit doesn't get affected because it's on him, on that person. Okay. So it's very important you understand that, because if I am the owner, can I do whatever I want with the house? Of course. I can blow the house up if I wanted to, as long as I keep paying that mortgage. So can you Airbnb it? Yes. Can you just do a straight rental? Yes. Can you let people live in it for free? Yes. Can you move into it? Yes. Can you go ahead and sell it? Yes. You can do all those things because you are the owner of the house. Just like your car. Think about it like your car. You own your car, right? Can you put rims on it? Yes. Can you let your son or your daughter drive it? Yes. Can you rent it out on Turo? Yes. Right? You're the owner of the car. But if you don't pay the car note and you still have a car note on it, what happens to the car? It gets taken, right? So you can do whatever you want with it, all right? There's a lien with the bank. There's a lien on the property with the bank. Okay, Stacy. All right, cool. All right, everybody. It is 8:05. We're doing a little bit more. We're gonna be doing, like I said, doing these every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you, if you're on YouTube, hit the little like button. Hit the little bell to get notifications. This is free game. Whatever you guys have investment-wise, whatever you guys have wholesale, what real estate agents. Hopefully, we get some real estate agents on here, because I really think my goal, man, I really want to get real estate agents and wholesalers and investors together. There should be some unity there, because there's a lot of money left on the table, because either side sometimes gets a little too greedy and they don't respect what the other side does. Wholesalers need to respect what real estate agents do, and real estate agents need to respect what wholesalers do. And if you can find two people that are one is a real estate agent, one's a wholesaler, that can work together, man, it'll turn your business upside down. All right, your stuff will start growing like crazy. Okay, so get some real estate agents on here. We want to talk about Airbnb. We can do that next week. But every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and on Facebook Live, we're going to be going ahead and getting through this, man, and just provide value. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully I was able to convey that message so you are able to understand it a little bit better. And if not, come back next week. All right. Y'all take care, man. Peace.